Hello there, I am Scorched Scales, and we are finally here. After 2 months of reading, we are finally here with the last book of Arc 2, Darkness of Dragons. The conclusion to Arc 2, the book that promises to delve into Qibli's character and his backstory, and the story that reveals the fate of Darkstalker. So, with all this build-up, where would I rank Darkness of Dragons? Well, on the tier list, I personally, right now, would rank it around here. Okay, once again, I have to emphasize, I did like this. There were parts of this book which I really enjoyed. But there were some rather significant things which brought the whole thing down for me. Now, most of these problems are story-based, because as for Qibli, I like his character, I like his POV, which is consistent throughout all of these books. I like all of these characters. But my only real problem is with the actual story that this is contained within. Okay, so Darkness of Dragons. This is really a mixed bag for me, because there are some great things in here, but there are quite a fair few big story problems that prevent this from being a completely satisfying finale for me. Now, I think this might be another occasion where I ramble about the problems that I have with the book. So I'm going to talk about the positives first. I really liked the prologue. I liked seeing Palm, I believe her name was. I don't know, I forget her name. I liked hearing about the relationship that she had with Smolder and how she escaped the situation. And I'm probably the only person in the entire planet who wanted to hear Smolder's story. Now, I really think this book excels when it's based around Qibli. Like, all the main stories for this arc are completely centered around the main character. Well, with the exception of Talons of Power. But for all of them, the story is based around them as a character, their past, and what they have to overcome. And I really think Darkness of Dragons excels when it's about Qibli and his past. Like, I really wanted to see more of Vulture and his plan to take over the Sandwing Kingdom. I really liked seeing Qibli interact with Thorn, but that's mainly because Thorn is my second favourite character. Now, this book actually kind of rectifies a problem that I had with Talons of Power. Because from the way that I see it, this book concludes Turtle's character arc. Like, when Turtle first appears, Qibli's like, "Oh, you're a hero." And Turtle is unable to accept that, until he eventually does. And that's the second half of the conclusion Turtle needed to his character arc. Because the first part was him actually doing something, and now the second part, which occurs in Darkness of Dragons, is when he accepts that, "Ooh, I did something." I like how this book, basically, it can be interpreted that it redefines the Animus Curse. Like, before this book, the Animus Curse can definitely be interpreted as, ooh, the more you do it, the more evil you get. But Qibli merely suggests that instead of going evil, instead what happens is that if you use your Animus magic for bad things, you go on to do more bad things with them. Using Animus magic doesn't inherently make you more evil, it's just the decisions that you make can lead you down a darker path if you choose to continue it. Like, personally, I very much prefer that over, oh no, I have used magic, now I am evil. No, so, I actually find this book really funny. Like, when Qibli is fiddling around with the bowl, Peril walks in and just starts yelling at the ball. And I found Winter's banter with Qibli pretty funny as well. So I really liked when this book was based around Qibli and Qibli's problems alone, and when it was about the Sandwings. Is somebody hoovering? I think this book is great when it's about Qibli and Qibli's problems. But where I really think the book falters is when it's trying to be a conclusion. Because I personally found the ending fairly underwhelming. Like, the whole battle at the end just felt so contrived to me. Like, oh wow, they just so happened to appear at the same place at the same time. Ooh, Anemone is able to resolve the whole issue by casting one spell. Now, before this book, to be honest, I didn't really understand the critiques people had when they said Animus magic is overpowered, because whenever it was being seen in a overpowering way, it was being used by an antagonist, and that's what you want to happen. Primarily, you want your antagonist to be big, threatening, and powerful, and one of the best ways to do that is to have them abuse their power. But here, Anemone is able to resolve the whole battle situation by casting one spell with 3 features on Qibli's library card. She casts the library card to A, make the Icewings and the Nightwings all share their thoughts with each other, so they can feel each other's fear, so it will end the battle. But it also teleports them to their independent parts of the continent when after 100 seconds, I think. And also, it undoes Kinkajou's love spell on Turtle. Like, huh? That's 3 different things within one spell on a library card. Like, what? And also, after everybody gets teleported home, Darkstalker doesn't get teleported because he's a hybrid. And instead of grabbing Qibli and teleporting, he grabs Qibli and flies away with him? Like, you have magic? Maybe you should, I don't know, use it? But overall, my main problem with this book is how it pretty much drops what happened in the first half of the book. It's like 70% of this book is a solo book about Qibli. Meanwhile, 30% of this book is a conclusion to the whole arc and Darkstalker. And like, when we switch to the Darkstalker side of the story, it pretty much entirely drops what happened before it. Like, the whole thing with Onyx. Like, the only thing that carries over from the beginning of the story into Darkstalker's part is Vulture. Now, I like Vulture. I like how Vulture is used in this part of the story. But I do think he could have been used better, because he appears for 2 scenes, and he just disappears. Like, at first he starts off as the main antagonist of this book, but like near the end he's not mentioned ever again. He just disappears. Oh yeah, and also, Ostrich gets kidnapped. Again. Poor Ostrich. She got kidnapped twice in order to motivate the main character. Like, damn. I think Ostrich has to get her own personal bodyguard. But I won't lie. I did like how Darkstalker himself was resolved. He gets what he deserves. He constantly uses his power to manipulate other people and bend them to his will. And at the end of this book, that's what happens to him. But for a rather less sinister cause. Because while before he was murdering dragons, now he's just killing strawberries. But I won't lie, I don't really like Darkstalker's new name, Peacemaker. Because while yes, it does make sense why he's called that. It fits with Darkstalker's previous naming scheme. But whenever I hear Peacemaker, I don't think of Darkstalker. I just think of but hey, that's not Tui's fault that I have this intro playing in my head 24/7. But the epilogue in this book does leave me asking, who does know about the whole Peacemaker Darkstalker thing? Because do any of the Dragonets of Destiny know? Does Glory know that currently she is housing what was previously the most dangerous dragon to ever live in her kingdom? Well, yes, it's not really necessary for her to know that, because Peacemaker is a brand new dragon. But you know, it may have been preferable for her to know that. But hey, since Arc 4 has been announced, and since it's pretty much been confirmed that Peacemaker is going to be a protagonist, maybe we can see something be built upon this. But with the epilogue, where this book leaves Winter is a little bit weird, because with every single other character, you have them fully complete their character arcs. You have Moon fully realize that her powers aren't a curse, and you have Peril kind of getting together with Clay, I don't know. Turtle finally gains some self-confidence, and Qibli comes to terms with him being normal, and he gets together with Moonwatcher. But then there's Winter. Now Moonwatcher was essential to Winter's character arc in Winter Turning. But however, since you can't have him get together with Moonwatcher because Qibli does, instead he's near a new town called Sanctuary, where he's hunting scavengers. And like, yeah, he's happy there. But like, I can't get over, for pretty much every other character, it's like, they are talking to somebody significant. They are overcoming something. They are realizing something about themselves. And then there's Winter, where he's like, I've lost everything. I've got nothing but scavengers. Like, damn. Poor Winter. He doesn't even get told what happens to Darkstalker. He isn't there for the climax, because he was involved with the Icewing army, who gets teleported back to the Icewing Kingdom. And like, damn. He really just got shafted. And also, just two smaller things. It's only mentioned once, but at the end of Talons of Power, it mentions, ooh, there's a ghost Seawing now haunting the Sea Kingdom. And like, due to how this book is structured, we never see that. That is only mentioned once in the epilogue with Turtle, where it said that they had a ghost of Albatross sent by Darkstalker. Like, what? We didn't get to see that. I would have loved to see that. And like, it's resolved off screen. It's mentioned twice. Once when it's introduced, and when it's concluded. Like, What was the point in even having it? You can't just tease me with a ghost albatross and not give me ghost albatross. But the biggest problem with this book, the most criminal decision in this book, is that Carnelian doesn't get the shit beaten out of him. And also just one little nitpick. Did this really needed to be ended with a teaser for Arc 2? Where did I learn to count? Arc 3, where Moon and Qibli meet Jerboa, who is apparently the daughter of the Animus Jerboa. Like, yeah, sure, I totally believe you. And this book ends with a dragon from Pantala just spreading its wings. Like, really? Did you really have to end this with, like, a tease for Arc 3? Like, we got enough of it with the tease of, ooh, the Legend of the Hive, of, ooh, there might be a second continent. Like, while yes, Arc 1 did kind of end with a tease for Arc 2, but it was subtle about it. Well, it was more subtle. And it actually provided a conclusion to the characters in question. But here, this is just a tease for Arc 3. This does not conclude either Moon or Qibli's character. This didn't really need to be here. Now, as for characters, I'll fully admit, I don't really have a lot to say, because most of the characters in this book were established in previous books, meaning that I've already talked about most of the cast of this book. So I'll try and keep this one quick. The key word is try, but starting off, Qibli. Great character, good protagonist, I like him. I just personally wished that the story based around him was better. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's actually smart. Like when Cobra apparently quit working for Vulture and is now turning to the side of good and really loves Qibli. At that very moment, I could tell she was lying through her teeth, and I was like, oh no, I already know the twist. I already know what's going to happen. But no, as soon as Qibli is in the position of power, he immediately calls Cobra out on her bullshit and gets her locked in a dungeon. Like, damn. A fictional character being smart for once. And as for Cobra, she's a manipulative dick. I'm happy she got thrown in jail. As for Qibli's siblings, I literally have nothing to say about them. Okay, while this isn't a brand new character, I do want to state here that in the epilogue, it turns out that Mighty Claws, when he got his power, he didn't want to use it for evil or for his own benefit. He wanted to use his power and his art skills to build a new Nightwing village. To literally build a better world for his people. Like, damn! I was not expecting that out of Mighty Claws. And then there's Vulture. I liked Vulture. I liked him as an antagonist. Like, I really liked seeing this manipulative mob boss just enter the scene and just demand power wherever he goes. And I was really intrigued to see where his whole quest to try and gain power over the throne would go. Where first, he's using Onyx in order for him to indirectly gain power to the throne. But then he hears Darkstalker became king, and that possibly led him down a path of, ooh, I don't mind being king. But after that, the story just completely drops him? Like, after that, we do see him 2 more times. We see him appear as a special guest at Darkstalker's party. And I was like, oh no, these 2 great antagonists are now working together. I can't wait to see where this goes. And he doesn't continue to work with Darkstalker. In fact, the next and last time we see him is when Qibli is talking with Darkstalker. And Darkstalker just makes Vulture magically appear next to him. And just makes him bend to his will. Like, damn, that was horrifying! Like, before, they took a character who commanded power, who commanded a presence, who was threatening. They took him and made him seem like a plaything. When Darkstalker manipulates Vulture's mind into making him believe that he's a baby, that is horrifying. Like, that is actually horrifying. And then Darkstalker changes Vulture's mind to make him unconditionally love Qibli. And like, at that very moment, Darkstalker specifies that he did love Qibli, that he was proud to have him as a grandson. But then after that, he just literally disappears. Like, we never see him again? We don't know what state he was left in. Like, as far as we know, Darkstalker might have left Vulture in a state where he still loves Qibli. Or maybe Vulture was taken out of that, but in retrospective, his mind could sort of be fractured, because he can remember being proud of Qibli and loving him. Like, the possibilities of that I just find really interesting, but it's never expanded upon, which is understandable because it was the literal end of the book. But I don't know, I would have preferred it if he and his Talons of Power were more involved with the climax of this book. Once again, I think this is a situation where I'm happy that Arc 4 is happening, because that means that we could have returning villains like Carnelian and Vulture and actually resolve them. So that was Darkness of Dragons. And once again, despite it seeming like that, oh, I hated this book due to how negative I seemed to be, I did like this book. It's just that to me, this really felt like 2 books mushed together. You have 2 completely contradicting stories trying to become one. On one side, you have a deeply personal story to Qibli. On the other side, you have this big, massive conclusion with Darkstalker. And like, individually, these could have been great by themselves. Hell, I think both of them do have phenomenal parts. But when they're squished together like this, I think it brings both of them down in my opinion. But that was Arc 2. So now the big question is, do I prefer Arc 1 or Arc 2? I don't know myself, because there were weak things about Arc 1 that Arc 2 flourished with, and there were parts of Arc 1 which were great, which Arc 2 doesn't do as good in my opinion. Like, the individual books, their individual stories, with Arc 1, a lot of it is very similar. Like, they all go to their kingdom, they all get captured, and they all get a love interest. Except Sunny. Because Sunny's just built different. However, Arc 2, each book is very unique to its own characters, and I think it flourishes with that aspect. But however, where I think Arc 2 has its weaknesses is with the overarching story. Like, to me personally, this felt like a bunch of disconnected stories loosely weaved together. Meanwhile, Arc 1 It all felt like parts of one grander story. And some of you may be thinking, ooh, doesn't that make Arc 1 better? Not necessarily, because people can prefer Arc 2 because of the more individualized, stronger stories. It's all up to personal preference. Like, do you prefer a TV show because of the larger, overarching story? Or do you prefer a TV show because of the individual episodes? I'll fully admit, I don't have an answer to this myself. I'll probably have to think about it a fair bit until I have a definitive answer on which arc I personally prefer. But despite this arc's weaknesses, I did love a lot of it. This arc does do a lot of good, but it also does have a fair few weaknesses. And as for the art in this video, of course, I drew Qibli. Now, I do like how this drawing looks, but I'll fully admit, to me, it doesn't really look like Qibli. To me, it just really looks like a edgy Sunny. I do like this drawing of Qibli. I just think it could be better a fair bit. So yes, that's it. That's Arc 2 complete. I have loved making these videos. I have loved to get the chance just to like sit down for like an hour every week and just ramble non-stop about these books and make dumb jokes along the way. I've loved it. And of course, I've loved hearing what you lot think of the books yourselves. I do plan to do this with Arc 3, but you will have to wait a bit, because I don't want to jump straight in to Arc 3 right after finishing Arc 1. I got the numbers wrong again! I don't want to jump straight into Arc 3 after reading Arc 2, because I want to give Arc 2 time to settle before doing Arc 3. So you will probably have to wait a couple of weeks until you hear my thoughts on the Lost Continent. I will be making some more unique videos in the meantime as I experiment a bit, and I'm curious to see what my brand new, fresh experience will be reading Arc 3. So yes, now that's all I have to say. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting me on this little rambling adventure of mine. And I hope to see you another day.